Watch me ride.
Hey everybody, so the beef is back. Now we have rebuilt his brakes. You may have seen the video I did the other day where I rebuilt the master cylinder and rebuilt the front caliper, and well, I'll talk about it in a minute, but it has made a difference. What I think was going wrong was, one, the slider was very jammed up and wasn't moving, which is why they were slightly dragging. But I also believe that the seals in the master cylinder were going, and it just wasn't producing as much pressure, because there were times that I could pull this as hard as I liked, and I'd bled the system properly, and it just never seemed to give me as much bite. These problems, though, can kind of sneak up on you, because if it slowly happens, you don't really notice it, and then suddenly you think about it, and you're like, my God, the brakes are bad at the moment. What is going on up there? Hold on a minute. I think the Jurassic Park car that I saw in Portsmouth the other day and laughed at, kind of because it's funny, they saw me on, they commented on the video and said that it was their car, so that means that they're here. It is the same one. Obviously where I put new brake pads in, I've had to just let them bed in for, well, I've ridden about 50 miles at this point, so I think they're pretty much there. There's no one behind me. I'll do a quick test from like 30. Yeah. It's a big difference. Then there was a mixture between trying not to lock the front and trying not to do an endo. Stoppy, whatever you want to call it. They're endos in my day. So yeah, huge improvement. I'm actually having to get reused to this bike with the brakes that it has now. So yes, rebuilding them was absolutely the right thing to do and has solved, I think, all the problems. I would be interested to try some different levers. I mean, I'm almost tempted to try the stock levers again, see if I can get them to fit in these handguards. What I'd ideally like is for Lextek to sell some of the, like the Lextek levers I've got on my XJ6. I'd love some of those for this, but they don't sell ones that fit. Sucks. They're still not like savagely powerful brakes, but I think that's just because that's what they are. The DRZ never had, well, that savage brakes, but then maybe it's I'm just spoilt from sports bikes. You can't really compare the two. I mean, the brakes on something like a 1000RR are so much more powerful than what's on my XJ6, and they're more powerful than what's on this, but then again you've got double discs in both instances. This is just single disc. But it's a good example of one of those jobs that nothing actually breaks, it just slowly degrades and isn't quite as good, and because it happens slowly you don't really notice it happening. Yeah, you do, but you're like, oh, it's not that bad yet, it's not that bad yet. It's when do you draw the line? I mean, if you should really, I suppose, draw the line as soon as you know there's a problem, fix the problem. I mean, I actually thought that I'd left it a bit late, but when I looked at all the parts, it was like, no, none of these are particularly bad. It's just, I think it was a combination of the lot. But when it all comes together, it becomes pretty obvious that it was actually pretty bad. One of the reasons why I was like, hang on, how bad has this actually got, is because I noticed that I was doing a lot more downshifting before corners. I was, using a lot more rear brake and stuff, which is something you do on a supermoto anyway, but I was finding that I was doing it way more. Not that you really need brakes when you can only do 17, 18 miles an hour because it's Sunday. So yeah, brakes, front-wise anyway, sorted, very happy with them. Rear brakes, I didn't rebuild those because they didn't actually need it. They're working perfectly fine. I don't know why that, well, it's probably because it's used a lot less. There are a few other little jobs here and there on Derek that I'd like to sort out. One of them is I'd love to replace the plastics, but I'm still looking around, and yeah, I mean, although I can find plastics kits, I can only ever find one colour. I guess 2 out of 6 ain't bad. Was it 6 or was it 5? Did I fire 5 or did I fire 6? You're feeling lucky, punk. Well, I reloaded. When I bought this bike, it always had these scratches here. I never really understood how those happened. There's a couple down here. Otherwise that's not too bad. The handguards obviously aren't original and they're smashed up because they're supposed to be. These are okay, but it's like the whites, on camera it's going to look absolutely perfect, but there's some big scores and dirty scratches through here. Yeah, I know you can sand plastics and try and polish them back, but I've never seen it really work that well. I mean, maybe I should. This is the problem. If I screw them up, it's not like I can just go, oh, well, I'll buy a new set. because I can't find a new set, because it would be probably easier just to slap on a new set of plastics. But as I say, when you find the kits, they don't ever do the white rear and blue front. They just have full white or full red, blue, you know. Well, actually, no, I don't think I've ever seen a full blue one. So you'd end up having to buy like 2 kits just to get all the parts. There's also like a tiny little bit of rust forming in here that I'd like to just clean all that out and get a bit of paint over that. Same as there's a little bit of rust just on that weld line there that I'd like to be able to clean up and repaint that. I mean, ideally, what you want to do is strip the bike down, strip the frame, re-spray the frame. I mean, on this bike, it's not really a massive amount of work, but it is quite an undertaking that I don't necessarily have the time to do. I also wouldn't mind getting some new bars for it at some point, but then what's wrong with these? They're Renthals, they're a fat bar, they work. Jesus Christ. They don't look that big, those old trucks, but they bloody well are when you actually get one on the road. So yeah, there are a few little bits and pieces I'd still like to get done on Derek, but for now he is in sort of mechanical wise. He was before, I considered him to be in tip-top condition, but his brakes weren't. But they now are. I can't think of anything on it that isn't very good or perfect. Part of that reason is because I use divvies so much these days to help protect dear old Derek. And for that reason, there is actually a few jobs. Oh my god. You know, I don't particularly like the look of the crash cage on the XJ6, the engine crash cage. However, it is such a good protection for the engine should it get dropped. And it's also a great camera mount. But it's got some rust points in a couple of places, and it's like, I'll have to take that off and strip it down and respray it and blah blah. I mean, ideally I need it to be repowder coated. Spraying it is not going to last that long. But there you go, there's a little update. Yes, doing that to the brakes solved the problem. As I say, I think it was a combination of everything just being old and tired and a bit dirty and worn out, rather than one individual thing causing the brakes to be as bad as they were. I mean, there could have even been some slight contamination by pads or something that may have, I don't know, you know, it's, as I say, it's probably a bit of everything. But now, they're great. If you want to see the video of me rebuilding the brakes, I'll actually leave a link at the end of the video. I'll put one in the description as well. But you can just go back a couple of videos on my channel. If you enjoyed this video, or the other sorts of videos that I've made, please consider subscribing to the channel. And of course, don't forget to smash the like out of the fuck button. And thank you to these patrons going up the screen. And if you'd like to support this channel in other ways other than Patreon, there is the Metalworks. I have clocks and all sorts of things in stock currently. Go and have a look. Even if you're not going to buy one, just have a look. I'd love to hear what people think of what I make. Anyway, I will catch you next time. Bye-bye. If you enjoyed this video and the other content on the channel, please consider following the links in the description to show your support.